Hi everyone. Again, this is Frank Demora with the book that I wrote, The Last Chronicles of Planet Earth. And if you found my YouTube channel, you may not know where you're at, but you're at the End Times Research Ministry. This is where I connect the dots between Bible prophecy and current events, and I keep my book current so that anyone who wants to read it for free can click the link when they come to my website and download my book, as you see right here, for free just by clicking this link. So I talked a little bit about Isaiah chapter 19, about what's going on in Egypt earlier today in my first video. Now I want to show you obviously what's going on in Syria, because Syria is another one of those nations that the prophecy is being fulfilled, where the Lord said kingdom against kingdom. And so there are some news articles that came out today that show you that the fighting is ratcheting up between Syrians in Syria. And so I've posted some of those articles, but I want to focus my attention for this video on the prophecy about peace and safety, as you see here, that Christ gave to Paul the apostle, and he wrote it in 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 verses 3 and 4, when he said, For when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them, as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. But ye, brethren, are not in darkness, that day should overtake you as a thief. So, we know, and I've said this a million times before, but just in case you're new, we know that there will be no Middle East peace until the Antichrist comes. And we know that that peace will be confirmed for a 7-year period. Now, before he comes, there's going to be destruction. Why they're still talking or calling, as we see in the scriptures, for peace and safety, we know war is going to break out. Now, I've been telling you and showing you what's been going on over the years about the birth pangs, as Christ warned about in Mark 13:8, that showed us the last day signs would be as birth pangs. And of course, the sign of the birth pangs of this prophecy is very well intact, and we're seeing the downgrading or the collapse of the peace structure between Israel and the Palestinians. Let me show you a few articles today that will reinforce what I'm saying. So let me go to the first one as soon as it comes up. This is taken from the Detka file. This was actually yesterday's. Let me clear some of these other things out. It says the U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry wound up his 5th peace shuttle trip for reviving Israel-Palestinian peace talks at the end of their fruitless 3rd conversation with Palestinian leader Mahmoud Abbas in Ramallah Sunday, June 30th. Abbas turned down Kerry's blueprint for both sides to forego preconditions and return straight away to the long-stalled peace talks. Now, I told you many times that this was going to happen, that there wouldn't be a peace signed because of what we know from 1 Thessalonians. And this is essentially what's going on. Every time they talk peace, it breaks down, just like we saw this last attempt. It goes on to say that the secretary left Ramallah empty-handed after the Palestinians reverted to their 3-point ultimatum: Israel must first accept the 1967 borders as the basis for negotiation. Now, this is a major concern because 1967, the borders included East Jerusalem, of which Israel now holds in the palm of their hand. They have it ever since 1967, when they defeated the Arabs who attacked them in that war, 1967. And so Benjamin Netanyahu is not going to give this territory away. He cannot, because this is a buffer zone between the enemies, and there's no way he's going to give East Jerusalem, the most holiest spot for the Jewish people. It goes on to say, release Palestinian jailed more than 20 years and freeze the West Bank and Jerusalem construction. So that brings us to Zechariah 12, 3 and 4, where the Lord showed us anybody who burdens themselves against Jerusalem will be cut into pieces. And when is Ramallah When are the Palestinians going to be cut in pieces? Well, obviously, if you know the Psalm 83 war, of which the Palestinians are going to engage against Israel along with Syria, that's when they're going to meet their destruction. So it says, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu told the Israeli cabinet Sunday that he had offered to join the Palestinians to negotiate the final settlement without preconditions or further delay. Kerry plans to return in a few weeks to resume his peace push, but it's going to be the same outcome as we've been seeing, that the 1967 borders cannot be turned over to the Palestinians, and Benjamin Netanyahu has said this over and over again. So let's go back to the site. Now here's the second article. And here is the second article that I'm going to be showing you, Monday, July 1st, 2013. It also comes with a video. It says the U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry departs after failing to renew peace talks, but says that he will return soon. Kerry, with little more than more work, final status negotiations are within reach. Israeli official. Most of the U.S. pressure is now directed at Abbas. Now there is a video here that I'm going to be playing for you. Let's see what he says. Turn the volume up as high as we can get it.
Pleased to tell you that we have made real progress on this trip. And I believe...
And of course, when you're looking at a perspective biblically, they haven't made any progress whatsoever. Keep in mind, this kind of arrangement where one of the U.S. ambassadors or the Secretary of State, they make these trips over to Israel. It's been happening since Jimmy Carter, and nothing ever happens. There is no formidable, intact peace process that brings fruition peace. And we know, based on the word of the Lord, and I keep going back to that, in 1 Thessalonians, destruction has to come first, because while they're calling peace and safety, that's when the attack happens. So what he is saying here, that they have met these strides, well, that's just flat out bull.
That with a little more work.
Yeah, a little more work since 1979.
The start of final status negotiations should be within reach. We started out with very wide gaps, and we have narrowed those considerably. We're not going to get stuck with artificial.
Of course, he's not going to tell you what these wide gaps are, because they haven't narrowed down. They're the same exact problems. Ownership of East Jerusalem, construction on Israel property, and especially in East Jerusalem, of which the Palestinians think it's their land. So we haven't gone anywhere. What he is saying is the same rhetoric we've been hearing from past Secretary of State.
Official deadlines. That's a big mistake. As I just said to you, I'm leaving people here who will continue to work on some of this, and they've asked me to return in the near term.
So there you have it. You have still the stalled peace talks. And this is really important when it comes to Bible prophecy, because these are the things that the Lord Jesus Christ warned to look for. And when you saw it, you would know that he was going to be coming soon. So here's one more that I'm going to click onto. Netanyahu Abbas reportedly closer to talks deal after Kerry's meeting. And of course, this was also July the 1st, and more or less, we're going to be talking about freezing. Look at this. Israel Prime Minister agrees to partial building freeze and prisoner release. Ramallah cottons and softening building freeze demand, according to the report. John Kerry's efforts to bridge the gap between Israel and the Palestinians and resume long-stalled peace talks have yet bear fruit. That's the bottom line. Okay, whatever else you read, it's just filler. That is the bottom line, there is no fruition to these peace talks. They just keep going on and on. Now, if you've been following in my book or in my prophecy site or in my videos, you know that I've been saying that when the time comes when not only the Palestinians but the rest of the Arabs who are listed in the Psalm 83 war, when they realize that the peace talks will remain stalled, they're not going to get what they want. They're not going to get the full stopping of the construction in East Jerusalem. They're not going to get the West Bank, or they're not going to get East Jerusalem as their capital, and the state of Israel will not be divided as they're asking for. Now, when that happens, when these Arabs, along with Abbas, realize that they're not going to get it, obviously the war will break out and you will see the Psalm 83 war. It is coming. The call for peace and safety is already here, and the sudden destruction part, of which hasn't been fulfilled yet, is coming up shortly. God bless everyone. Get yourselves ready, because Jesus is coming. And all of the signs that he's showing us here are just part of the whole picture of what he told us to look for in these last days. And again, if you want, please take advantage of my free book by going to my website, click the link, and you can download the book today for free. God bless.